everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to an all-new episode of Figure It Out, and I just realized my background is not Figure It Out.
Yeah, that's
Oh my God!
It's not. Welcome to an all-new episode of Figure It Out. I am your host, Juwaan, and we have a full panel tonight for this anime episode of Figure It Out. I want to first introduce Pete. What's going on, Pete?
What's up, buddy? Happy to be here. I am hungover, so I'm having a little hair with the dog. But I was not missing this episode. I had way too many examples running around the basement. I'm like, I gotta perk up for this.
And we are glad you are here, Pete. One day, man, I'm gonna try to see if I can outdrink you in an episode of Figure It Out. I'm gonna try. Okay. I'm gonna try. Look at Joel. Joel's like, whoa.
I don't know if that's possible.
I don't even drink. So I know after the first one,
I would not. Anyway.
Next up, Jaydee. What's going on, Jaydee?
What's up? I've drank with Pete before, and I know how far he can go, but I'm trying to get to his point today. Right? We got a little bit of blueberry vodka mixed in here with fruit punch. You know, all the fruit flavors, the fruity pebbles of alcohol tonight. So we're gonna have a good time.
So healthy. You're getting all your fruit.
Right. Meanwhile, I'm just here with water, like, you know, silly me, right? Next up, Joel. What's going on, Joel?
What is going on, everybody?
Glad to have you here.
No drink? Oh my God, Joel.
No drink.
No, I just drank it and it was iced tea.
Me and Joel definitely feel like the lightweights of this show.
I know I won't make it.
Yeah. And last but definitely not least, Tia said, Juwaan, when you do that anime episode, I better be there. So we had to make sure we had Tia here for this one. What's going on, Tia?
Hello, everyone. It may look like I have our GVN coffee mug, but it's actually Fireball in here. So there you go, guys.
Welcome to the club.
And in the spirit of talking about drinking, you know, not to just out there, it was my birthday a few days ago. I turned 31.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Wow.
Hey.
And you know, I had 2 martinis and a glass of wine, which, you know, when I turned 21 would have been nothing. I would have had maybe like 5 more freaking martinis and woken up the next day and felt perfectly fine. All I had was 2 martinis and a glass of wine. I woke up the next day going, oh, Jesus Christ, what the hell happened last night? It's like, oh no, my body's not recovering anymore. It's downhill from now.
It's crazy.
Pete, introduce her to what she has to expect in the future, buddy.
Listen, a friend of mine texted me late last night and needed some help moving. This is the 3rd person I've helped move in 2 weeks.
Wow.
I wasn't going to say no. It's one of my best friends, but I got 5 bottles of old whiskey out of the deal from her grandmother's cellar.
Nice.
I decided, let me taste test this old Glenlivet. It was probably like a 30-year-old bottle. It's a 12. It was a 30-year-old bottle.
Oh my God.
Well, a taste test. You ever see that movie Fatso with Dom?
Yes, I love that.
The bread and the gravy, and he eats the whole fucking pot. Well, I drank almost a whole damn bottle. My friend's like, "What time do you go to sleep?" I was like, "I have no idea."
Like,
what is sleep? That didn't happen. Yeah.
It's like the concept of time doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what time.
Dude. Oh my God, you got me excited. 30 to make it 30 years, a bottle of Glenlivet? Come on.
Beautiful. I had to dig the cork out with chopsticks, bro. It was like it was in there.
Jeez, that sounds like it was made in ancient times.
It makes me so happy, by the way, that someone else besides me and my family have seen Fatso. Anytime I ever bring that up to anyone, they're like, "I don't know what that is." I'm like, "It's so funny. He ate the oni."
Such a good movie.
Listen, who didn't think that Dom DeLuise and Paul Prudhomme were the same person growing up? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
No, but before we get started, I wanted to bring up. I made some new additions figure-wise that I wanted to show you guys. This shocked me. I did not expect this to be as large as it is.
That's what she said.
Wilson.
Come on, man. Don't open next time.
She didn't say that to me, damn it.
I've never heard of it, man.
I got Wilson Fisk. He comes with his cane removable.
Very nice.
Here.
Oh, that's cool.
Jacket here. I got J. Jonah Jameson. Came with a vest, removable vest. I got it. To me, this was the laziest thing I've ever seen with a figure. So originally, this is a Mary Jane figure, right?
Juwaan, do me a favor really quick. When you're showing them, put your hand behind the figure. I think that'll help with your lighting a little. No, like full palm, like and everything like that. And it didn't help, sorry.
Yeah. Bring it closer in, bro. Bring it closer in.
She came with a Gwen Stacey head originally.
Okay.
They couldn't make one.
They were just like, first of all, by the way, there's only 2 women in the Spider-Man line, and they were just like, to make it 3, no. We'll just put 2 with a removable head. So that's her.
That's how you save money. You don't gotta make another body.
So much. It's just so much.
Yeah.
Got Spider-Man here.
That's a great looking figure.
Last but not least, Peter Parker himself.
Yeah, that's the one with the split head.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Nice. Nice.
So I got that. And Joel, I feel like a hypocrite. Remember that that ex-con Luis figure that came with Ghost that I was complaining about because his name was ex-con Luis. Luis. I bought it. And to be fair, I blame it on the fact that after I talked to you, I was just like, let me see how ex-con was worked in Ant-Man and the Wasp to see if I can kind of like, be okay with it. And I remember by the end of that movie, I was just like, I really forgot how much I like Ghosts. I kind of want this now. and honestly, I've been blaming every purchase on you, Jaydee. Every purchase.
Well, it's all about the hunt, brother. It's all about the hunt. And since Pete turned me on to those little mini Marvel Legends figures,
nice.
I've pretty much found almost everyone in the set. So you got the Electro there. You've got Magneto.
Ooh.
Right. You got really nice Iceman piece, translucent translucent plastic there.
I hope they
Daredevil pops. I don't know if you guys ever gotten the Secret Wars Daredevil figure, but he was money in the bank. So this ranks right up there with that.
By the way, I like that, Jaydee, because the Daredevil figure that comes with this Spider-Man set has like armor on his shoulder.
Yeah, the black and red armor.
Oh, yeah. 90s outfit?
Yeah, I don't like that.
I like that 90s. I really like that 90s.
I rather the all around.
The Spider-Man figure's a little wonky with his, I don't know, his fingers. But then you got the Human Torch, again, semi-translucent skin, really nice. This Iron Man, they don't tell you whether it's James Rhodes or Tony Stark, but it's that definite classic armor. I'm a big shield slinging fan, so Cap, Money in the Bank, baby. But one of the best figures in the line is this Hulk. He's kind of oversized.
Nice.
He's a pretty big Hulk.
it really works for that scale. And then I think this is a gem here. The Carol Danvers.
Yes, it is.
You know why she named Carol Danvers and not Ms. Marvel? I don't know, but I'll take it. They have the back. You could clip it out like a trading card. They give you the little bio right next to it. Really nice. Even though it's Hasbro, they throw the Kenner tag underneath it. So that's pretty cool. I will
say, Jaydee, I was a little disappointed that we didn't see one of those looks in the Captain Marvel movie. That's my favorite look. I don't have a problem with the newer look that she's adapted, but I love that look. I
think that's a great look.
Yeah.
I really like how they threw us the Shazam colors when she was going through the variation. So I thought that was a nice little nod to everything. But the line is, I think, 15 figures. The only ones that are missing from what I've been trying to find are Cyclops, Black Panther, and Elektra, and that completes the set right now. But the real scary thing is it's opening the doors up for everything else that's scaled for me. So those Mezco and those Funko, 5 points of articulation, that size, they're definite 3 3/4 inch figures. They're more like the Star Wars figures than anything else. But I want to get those Funko Space Ghost, the Thundercats that they're coming out that size. The reaction figures, and it's opening up a brand new door, freaking me out. But it's making me happy because as we've gone over a lot of times, those G.I. Joe classifieds that I really want are pretty much nowhere to be found. Right. So I'll just spend my money elsewhere.
That's where my mindset is. And Pete, I thought of you. They had this Punisher 6-inch set, comes with a motorcycle, a bag, a shotgun.
I haven't gotten it yet.
Pete,
nice.
It looks so good. So yeah, I would have gotten it for you if it looked a little bit like John Bernthal.
If it doesn't look like John Bernthal, I don't want it.
I swear, that's what I thought. I was just like, if I got this, he would be like, that doesn't look like John Bernthal. Like, I have no use of this. But all right, so this is our anime episode, like I said before. So we're going to be talking about favorite anime figures growing up, our favorite animes, and whatnot, favorite heroes, whatnot. So let's get right into it. Our favorite anime figures growing up. Tia, I'm going to start with you. What was one of your favorite anime figures growing up?
Oh, I mean, I never had a toy, unfortunately. Is that what you're talking about? I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, no, did you have let me think. People don't consider it, but I do consider Pokemon anime. Did you have?
Yeah, it is.
Wait,
or anything?
No, but I will tell you what. I will tell you what I did have. Because I think I was in 4th grade when Pokemon really became popular and the cards were really a thing, and I was telling Juwaan this. I was much more of a Digimon fan than, say, a Pokemon fan. But because Pokemon was so popular and I was watching it, my parents bought me this Pokemon alarm clock that was so loud that my parents eventually threw it away because we lived in an apartment and it would go off and they would hear it in their room. And my mom was like, no, not at all. I think I had it for a week. It was so fucking loud that she was just like, no, I gotta toss this in the trash. So I had that. And I think I also had a Sailor Moon alarm clock that was similar in the sense that it was loud as hell. So anyway, they were so loud. So I never really had the anime figures. I was much more into collecting the mangas and collecting DVDs and things like that. I did have cards. I had a bunch of Pokemon cards. I had a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards just because back then, I don't know if anyone remembers Dragon's Den, but that was the thing back when I was younger, and I would just go and whatever they had, I would just ask mom, can you buy this for me, please? So I had a bunch of cards just because of that.
That place was up in Yonkers, right?
What'd you say?
That place was up in Yonkers, right? Dragon's Den?
Yeah. In Cross County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went
there I live in Yonkers, so it's we used to go there all the time. And I remember when it closed down, I was so upset because that was really the only place that they were selling any anime cards at all, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever. They had a shit ton of figures there. It was just the coolest thing. And when that closed down, the only place you could find that stuff was when it was beginning to go on the internet.
Yeah, I have to say, how people argue today about the rules of Uno and how it's changed and how not one person. I tell you what, no one ever knew, and I still to this day feel as though no one does. No one ever knew the real rules of Pokemon cards. People legit just go,
I know.
Pokemon's better than yours, and it's I don't think it works like that. I think you're just making that up. So I used to collect.
I had the game on the Game Boys that I could play, but when it came to playing with the cards in person, it's I don't know, this looks cool, so that's gonna beat yours.
I used to always tell people the HP is on there for a reason. The HP isn't just to be oh, we just put words there. It's that's supposed to help guide you as to what you're supposed to do in these battles. No one ever cared. It would just be I have a Bulbasaur and you have a Rattata, and it's like my Bulbasaur wins, and it's like I don't think it works.
Like by default, it wins. Let's just go with that one.
But I did want to back you in one thing, Tia, before we move on.
Yeah.
I did kind of side with Digimon a little bit more than Pokemon, purely because I felt like to evolve in Pokemon took forever. Like, it took just forever. You know?
Not only did it take forever, but I also didn't like the idea of the fact that they evolved and then couldn't go back. I think to me, what was so alluring about Digimon was that they could go back and forth. And also that it was more of like, especially in the, say, like first 2 seasons, it was much more of an elusive world. They had to go to a separate world to see all these Digimon and Pokemon. It was, which again had its own sort of allure. It's not like I disliked Pokemon. I loved the movie with, you know, Mew and Mewtwo and all that. But just for some reason, I liked Digimon just a lot better.
And I don't know why, it shouldn't, but it always bothered me that Pikachu was just like, this evolve thing to make me stronger? Nah. I don't do that. And the fact that Pikachu was just like, I don't do that whole Pokeball thing. Like, you could do that with the rest of them. I don't play that.
No, he was so stubborn. Oh, and another reason why I think I like Digimon better is that they could talk.
Yeah,
they didn't do like,
that's very important. That's very important, because to me, it always used to bother me. Like, even watching Star Wars, where Chewbacca would do the thing, and Han would be like, "Yeah, no, you're right." It's like, what the fuck did he say? Like, what did he just say to you? Like, where's our context? And it's like, you don't need it. Like, what?
You don't need to know. Not even subtitles. Just know what.
And it's like, what did he say? It's like, I don't worry about it. It's like, okay, all right. But for me, I'll say my favorite anime figures growing up was, they used to do a beautiful Dragon Ball Z line. It wasn't 3-inch or 6-inch. It was very weirdly in between the two. But it was fully posable. And that whole line was sick. Goten, Trunks, Goku, Super Saiyan 1 through 3. Or 1 and 2, sorry. Just 1, sorry. It was a really dope line. So the Dragon Ball Z line, I collected the Zoids. I always wish they did Zoids a little bigger. It was so small, and then the people you could put in it, like, that big. And it's like, I have a dog. He's gonna die. Like, I can't keep this. Like, I can't keep this around. Zoids. I got into Beyblades pretty heavy. Shit, we used to do that in like the locker rooms, like after gym. It's like, yo, did you bring your Beyblades? It's like, I did. It used to be like a drug deal with our Beyblades.
Yo, you got Beyblades. You got Beyblades.
You got the stuff. But no, my it just wasn't that large with anime figures, because to me it just seemed like it was so hard to find them. Like the really good anime, like their figures. And I know you guys are gonna kill me. I never really fully got into Gundam. I don't know why. It wasn't that I didn't like it or anything. I started it, and then again, like I was telling Joel last time I saw him, so many anime came out that it was just like, if it didn't capture me, I moved on.
Well, I watched Gundam Wing, but for me, the Gundam that I liked the most was, I don't know if you guys remember G Gundam.
That was my favorite.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, Gundam Wing was good, and I know like people were really into it, but I was like, why isn't anyone talking about G Gundam? The superior of the Gundam stories. So to me, I really like that. And I have the full set of the manga of that, and I have the full set of the DVD of G Gundam. So yeah.
Gundam was an amazing concept. I always remember thinking Gundam was cooler than Voltron. Like, it was just cooler. I'm not saying Voltron was bad. I'm just saying the concept of jumping into a robot just visually looked cooler with Gundam than it did Voltron.
This is a tough episode for me, folks. Just letting you know.
Hey, kids.
You know what I'm saying, bro?
What do you want from me? By the way, you guys got me yelled at by my dad, so keep it up.
Good. I'm gonna have him yell at you at the end of this episode, also.
Yeah, no, he would probably say it's he anime was something so far out of my dad's time that I don't know what that shit is. But yeah, so those were my go-to toys. Pete, I'm gonna pass it to you really quickly. Well, not really quickly. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. I'm gonna pass it to you, Pete. What was your favorite anime toys growing up?
So, I mean, growing up, I didn't know what anime was. I had no concept of anime until I got to high school, and somebody had told me like, "Hey, oh, my bad. That's there we go."
Stop watching porn during our podcast, Pete.
I promise you, it was just Facebook Messenger. Porn still there.
It was the anime porn, so at least
Right,
it's
exactly.
within team.
It was the hentai.
Yeah.
I didn't know what anime was, and when somebody had told me that Voltron was anime, I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, mind blown. So I guess growing up per se would have to go to the Voltron that's behind me in the display case there. That's one of my originals. I also have the vehicle Voltron, which I never really got that into, but the Fleet of Doom crossover episode, if you guys have ever seen that, that is dope as shit. Like, just ridiculously good. So like growing up, I didn't really have anime toys per se, but attending comic conventions later on in life, and now I have just so many toys in front of me that I brought to show off. I am actually a big Gundam Wing fan. That was like really my first foray into mechs besides Voltron. I never watched Macross or Macross, however you want to pronounce it. The emphasis goes on the other syllable. But I'm gonna check out G Gundam. I never watched that, but I'm always game for something new. But I picked
it
up.
I'm sorry. It was a cool concept because it used the idea of the Gundam suits in a different way, as opposed to them like say operating it with their hands. They more so like as they moved, the Gundams moved, and they were using it to like
what's his name? Like Pacific Rim kind of thing.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
It's almost Power Rangers. Like it's like this gel would come over their body, and they would be one with the robot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. But yes, let's see your figures.
I got these two when they came out. Where's that blasted center camera? There it is. I'm hoping that they do the rest of Gundam Wing, and I really want to see an official Wing Zero with the feathered wings like that from the movie. That was ridiculously awesome, and like
I was it.
I had the models, and I wasn't that skilled with a paintbrush, so I never messed with them. I just built them, and that was that. Nice. I did pick up this little Vampire Hunter D model.
That's cool.
Some more. I know they have figures of VHD, but I never managed to pick them up, and they were always pretty expensive on the aftermarket. But I think my favorite toys that I got are these Guyver figures. I'm pretty sure this is Figuarts. I'm a huge Guyver fan. These are the original ones from Guyver 1 and Guyver 3. And I remember watching Guyver 3, and anime has this thing with like the guy with the long hair is usually like the cool anti-hero kind of.
Yes, the rebel.
Always.
It was like you talk about tropes.
Very mysterious, and he always had his hair like this, so you could only see one half of the face,
Emo.
Always the emo look, yeah.
I learned that
the five tropes. The 5 tropes were the leader was the main character usually, right? You had the second in command, the best friend or whatever was always the angry rebel. Then you always had the one female. Then you had the chunky one, all right, who was usually the big shoulders, but even though he was chunky, he was usually the strongest. So that kind of balanced out. And then you always had the kid, all right? That's why I transferred over. That was Battle of the Planets.
I'm thinking about like every anime I like, and I'm like, that's every single one.
Everyone.
Don't forget the villain with the long hair, and occasionally that long hair was white. More often than not, actually, I think it was white hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
actually, now I'm thinking about it, what's his name? Pegasus? Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh! He had the long white hair.
Yes. No, wait, what was his name? There was a white haired one.
Yeah, he was the bad guy. It was Pegasus?
I think so.
Okay.
And that long-haired bad guy always usually like in one season kind of teetered on being a good guy and then was a romantic interest to the token girl in the group and everything.
Yep.
There's all those tropes.
Right.
Pete, before I move on, I wanted to ask you really quickly, Pete, did you watch the Ultron on Netflix?
I loved it, actually. I didn't think I was going to, and that it had so many nods to the original.
Yes.
And like that time when they couldn't figure out how to form Voltron and they're just like stacking each other up, and I was slapping my ass off. Like,
dude,
good.
That
Man.
Voltron series was amazing. That first season was hard to get. You know, the first 2 or 3 episodes, it was weird because that first episode was almost an hour and a half. You know, it was definitely more than an hour. Then it went half-hour episodes after that. But I love how Pidge was the female.
Yeah,
you know, how they included, how they worked around the Sven, Shiro angle. You know, and then when they went to the parallel universe, they added that. You know, that Voltron series is a gem. I loved. I've watched it 3 times, man. Great fucking series.
I'd like them to release like a really crazy detailed toy of that, and so I can match it up with that one.
Well, those figures were pretty nice, man.
I didn't pick them up. I was waiting for somebody to like show it to me so I could see it like out of the box and kind of play with it. I should have looked up some reviews, but I never did.
They were really cool, man. Very cool.
I do remember a few years ago, people were fan casting J.J. Abrams to direct a Voltron movie.
Yes.
Not against it.
Please don't.
Nope. Wait, you don't like J.J. Abrams, Jaydee?
No, please don't. Please don't. Leave it as it is. You know, we had this conversation with Ninja Turtles last week, right? And Transformers. It never translates well. They try to do Battle of the Planets, you know, G-Force, whatever you want to call it. They did that live action, and it was pretty much a Power Ranger movie. I don't know if you guys ever got to see it with the chunky monster latex costumes, and it was really, really hard to get through.
I'll say this because each of us have lived through a version of something that was just horrendous. But I'm always of the mindset of we got to get the bad out so we can work our way to the good. And you watch Detective Pikachu and you watch Sonic, and it's like they're proof that it can work. Like it can work really well. So to me, it's like, would I risk doing a Voltron movie that may be bad with the idea to get people on board of knowing that, like, all right, here's where it messed up. Here's where someone 5 years from now can make it better. I'm just always of the mindset of try it, you know, like, do we need it? No, of course not. You don't want to taint anything. But again, Sonic on its first try, beautiful. Yeah. It almost messed up with that original concept.
I was gonna say not really on its first try. That was technically its second try.
It almost, but I don't count it because that didn't release in theaters. So for them, it was a dry run.
As a counterpoint to you, Juwaan, right? I'm of the mindset there are always new properties out there, such as my book Shield of the Interceptor, or my other book Dragonstorm, or some of the other titles that I have that you know, need a little time in the sun. I'm just saying, there's new products to be mined.
I'm with you. I am with you. But to me, it's just like,
watch your feet as I drop that plug.
At some point, some of these companies have to know, like, they're just sitting on gold mines, you know?
Yeah.
Like the fact that whoever created Gundam didn't one day just go, someone did Transformers. And it, you know, albeit some people may think the first few worked and the last half were garbage. But how do you sit there and just go, nah, we could never do this? Like,
that's because Japan decided to take it a step further and just made an actual Gundam. They just made it.
Right, the real one, yeah.
Gundam
has been around since the 70s.
You know something that's cool? You respect that because stuff like that could never happen in the U.S. Because a day after they unveil it, some idiot's going to be defacing it or trying to get in it or you know what I'm saying? Trying to take the arm off and sell it. And it's just like, we could never have anything good like that.
No, you can't have nice things.
There's gonna be graffiti right across the chest, and everybody will be like, "How did they get up there, though?"
Right.
No, people who do graffiti, they find ways. If you're driving through New York and you see something, you're like, "How did they get up there?" They manage it.
That in and of itself is a talent.
It's for sure a
there's
talent.
there's a way.
I do think graffiti artists are the original Spider-Man. I really do. I think Spider-Man.
Hell yeah. Kudos. Yeah.
I once seen someone upside down like Spider-Man when he's hanging from his web, just doing graffiti. Like, how the fuck? What? Like, how did you even do that? But Jaydee, I'm gonna pass it off to you. Your favorite figures from the anime.
All right. Well, before I say anything, that monster behind me, listen, you got to respect how long that property has been alive here in the States. What it came to. But that is just something that is being sold on eBay. So it's not like it's part of my personal collection. Pick that monster up for $7, man. Anyways, so that being said, the big robots were my jam growing up. That was my anime. It's hard going through this episode because I hear you talking Pokemon and Digimon, and I'm so far removed from that. I don't know Dragon Ball Z. I don't know a lot of that stuff. I know Vampire Hunter D. I know JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I know Robotech. Oh my God bless Robotech. It was, if you're growing up here in New York, it was one of the adult cartoons. I mean, you saw death in the cartoon early on, and you're like, oh my God, people were dying. It wasn't like G.I. Joe where they would skate with their backpacks. But my favorite toy growing up was a big robot. And I think I said this in a previous episode, spending my summers in Puerto Rico, they were heavily they had anime on rotation in the early 80s in Puerto Rico in syndication. And I got to see Voltron before it hit the States here. I got to see a lot of Battle of the Planets or G-Force, whatever you want to call it. But one of my favorite toys growing up was called Messenger. And I don't know if you guys ever heard about that. Mm-hmm. Big robot, big V on his chest, which was used as either a boomerang or a sword. He would fire his rocket fist. He had two sidekick robots, a female robot whose boobs were missiles, and his little brother robot, where he and his friends would ride bikes in the helmet, and somehow that would generate gale force winds to knock down monsters like that. But the toy was awesome. It was about 2 feet tall. It was the same plastic that you see. I don't know. Toys R Us had the big rock, remember? And the big Stormtrooper and the big Darth Vader and the big Batman. It was plastic. It wasn't PVC. It was a little stronger than PVC, but it was still soft. So that robot was my jam. Shogun Warriors was pretty much the line that it came from. So it was that. There was another robot. And ironically, there was a Godzilla who came with that set, who had a tongue that would stick out, and the Godzilla would also fire his fist. I never saw Godzilla shoot his fist out or whatever. There's a feature in the toy. Rocket Fist Godzilla. Yeah, Rocket Fist Godzilla. That was awesome. But Rocket Fist Messenger was great. And then, with G.I. Joes, you could almost feel like a Joe could fit in there, even though there was no place to go in it. He just crawl off in your hand, you throw him to the side, and your favorite Joe was piloting that Messenger. Yeah. After that, though, there was Robotech, and Matchbox didn't just do cars. Matchbox did action figures as well, and those Robotech figures were on the money. It was Jetfire from Transformer, but it was big enough to fit a G.I. Joe sized figure in the cockpit. You had Rick Hunter, and you had his friends. The one thing that Robotech plane couldn't do was transform because of the license agreement with Jetfire being over there with Hasbro and stuff like that. There's this whole debacle of it going down. Hasbro was buying all these pieces. They didn't care what it was from. They were just tying it into Transformers and not understanding where the whole Robotech license lied and stuff like that. So when Matchbox got the license, they were able to get the plane. They just couldn't transform the plane into, the Jetfire figure. So that was a favorite also of mine growing up. I would pick up the Gundam kits. So I don't know, what's the white one that had the big wings and the shield and the long rail gun. And then there was the evil one that had bat wings and a big scythe and like a tail whip or something like that. And those were pretty cool to get to put together. But I never really got into the cartoons. I never got to see them.
I will say, Jaydee, to a point you made earlier, I just would have thought someone would have smartened up and made like big robot toys to where you could just open it and put in, you know, reasonably sized figures, because I guarantee you sales would have went through the roof for those kids that could take. You sure? Because me, I would have imagined if kids could take different figures and put them inside there, they would have went bananas.
The Voltron. So Matchbox had a Voltron license towards the end, and they did, you know, 1/18 figures. They had a Voltron that was able to be combined, and you can have the pilots pretty much sitting in the back of the body of the Voltron. They didn't sell well. You had a Castle of Lions as well. The aftermarket on that is through the roof, though. That Castle of Lions playset is like almost $400 on eBay. But you know, it was 5-point articulation figures. You put that against the GI Joes that are out there, and people weren't really into it. And Matchbox didn't market. Was it Matchbox or LGN that had that? Now, I don't remember. It could have been LJN. But that didn't sell well. And then you had GoBots had to build a figure that you were able to put GoBots into the body parts. That didn't move well either. You know, I would have liked to see more of it because we got that. You know, it was in their cartoons. The Mighty Orbots, where the kid went into the center chest of it. You know.
More to your point, they had at the JoeCons over, you know, they had like the exclusive figures that they had for the convention release. They had Starscream Sky Strikers that, you know, you could put the figure in. They had the
really.
Oh man, you got to look these up, man. They're beautiful. The Jetfire Sky Striker is ridiculous. You want to talk about an aftermarket on eBay?
And he transforms or no?
That's the problem, is they didn't friggin' transform. I'm like, why? Why do you stop short than transforming the stupid thing? You're Hasbro. It's your property.
Right.
Do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hasbro has shown that they in moments they have no idea what they're doing.
They apparently don't want to make money.
But you know, some of the best Hasbro Transformers, some of the best Transformers are not Hasbro.
But
you know,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
or the
like
ones, right?
Takara. I remember a set of locomotive Optimus Prime, where you know he transformed. Peter, I remember showing you the pictures. And then you got those customizer guys, right? That they made the original tetrahedron planes, you know, that you saw in the very first episode of Transformers, and they were pretty much triangles that could transform. You know, people are engineering their own stuff.
The third party Transformers are ridiculous. I told Juwaan we got to do a Transformers episode.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
Best believe that's coming next week.
Oh yeah. Dude, there's a biplane Starscream out there.
No way.
Yes.
Dude, you want to see some shit? And I mean, I don't want to go off on a tangent here. There's a Rolling Thunder, the G.I. Joe toy, Rolling Thunder Optimus
Loved it
Prime.
with the 2 missiles. Yeah. That he what?
Optimus Prime, bro.
No fucking way, dude.
It's amazing.
It transforms?
Yep.
Really quickly before we pivot back to anime, shout out to Joel. He just sent me this. G.I. Joe's official Twitter page says, live from the Cobra Terra Dome, join us Friday, April 9th at Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest. So it's very possible that's where we get our first Snake Eyes trailer.
Oh, okay.
But even wait, say it again, Joel.
It's like for collectors, so it's gonna be a lot of stuff about their figures.
Right.
Nice.
So it could release some lines. I know I want to see a little bit more of the figures they specifically have for that movie. But also to me, don't call it Fan Fest. And I don't see that trailer for that goddamn Snake Eyes movie.
Well, to bridge the gap with what you're saying, Juwaan, and with what Pete was saying, there is a 1/18th scale Optimus Prime. He transforms. He goes into the rig. You can buy him. I think he's about 200, almost $300, and you could go on Instagram and you can see people putting actual GI Joes in.
That's MP1. It's like
that was MP1.
That's the very first masterpiece, and then they kind of scaled it down for MP10, which is
really
I like that.
So
go ahead.
you don't have it though.
I don't have MP1. Two of my friends do. I have MP10 behind me.
Dude, that is an awesome piece, bro.
Yeah.
Before I pass it off to you, Joel, Tia, I want you to show off your collection, but first I wanted to bring up probably, because I forgot to say this earlier, probably one of the worst anime toys was Dragon Ball Z had this line of you could put a figure. It was based off of the whole Buu saga. So like you could put a figure in like a fatter body, and then it was horrendous. I remember just going, well, this is all the Dragon Ball Z toys they have, so I guess.
I guess I'll get them.
Getting home and just going, what is this? Like, why?
Yeah, to be fair, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Buu saga. I feel like at that point, I was a Cell saga, Android saga person. The Buu saga. We could go into a tangent about that. They made Gohan like the worst character. I hated Videl. I hated Goku being dead. I hated Goten. I hated Buu up until he became all badass.
Goten?
I didn't like the kids. I didn't like the kids. They were annoying. They were annoying to me.
Tia is the walking meme of, man, fuck those kids.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm with her. Fuck Dragon Ball Z.
Well, no,
she didn't say that.
That's what I heard. I heard that. I'm backing you up. I'm all about Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z has several sagas, and the last saga in Dragon Ball Z was the Buu saga. Fuck the Buu saga, not the rest of the sagas. And I will tell you why, because now I'm going to bridge it into this is like the prize of my DVDs collection. It's going to take a second to show. Season 1, the Saiyan saga. We got season 2, right? We got season 3. We got freaking 4, 5, 6.
Nice.
7, 8.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry, Tia. Go back to 8. Go back to 8. That looks like that's in the Buu saga.
I didn't say I didn't have it. I didn't have them.
I don't know what Buu saga is.
So it's like like they're called they're season sagas. It's like just who they kind of like go against. So the Buu saga was like the villain of that season, right? Majin Buu was his name, and I thought that he was like one of the worst villains that Dragon Ball Z ever had. So I didn't really like it, but of course I had it. I have to collect the entire freaking series. All these
defend that. I understand that logic. I mean, I hate the Spider-Man clone saga, but it's not like I don't have the issue.
Yeah, you gotta have all of them.
Don't hate it.
I'm just saying we're not gonna get off on a tangent. I'm just saying, do I dislike what they did to Gohan? 1000%. I feel like they took all the testicles away from Gohan right after.
Well, can I tell you why they did that? Because you have to remember when we watched Dragon Ball Z was when they did the dubs, right? When it came to America. But Dragon Ball Z was out in Japan, I think around the 80s or something. The original. Yeah. Well, you had Dragon Ball, which was like the beginning series, and Dragon Ball Z came after that. But with Dragon Ball Z, when Goku dies in the Cell saga, they were going to kill him off officially because they're like, we had him in Dragon Ball, and then he's been the main hero in all of Dragon Ball Z. It's time for his son Gohan to take the mantle. But when that started happening, people who were watching it in Japan were like, what do you mean Goku's not going to be a part of the freaking show? They like they were so angry at it. So then the show was like, well, I don't know what to do. We set up Gohan this whole entire time to take the mantle, but now we're going to have to bring Goku back. So I guess we'll just have to make freaking Gohan a wuss. I don't know where that logic came from, that they were like.
So I guess when they were putting it together, they weren't thinking about, the toy licenses, right? Because you would have had the Arctic Blast Goban, the Fire Eyesight Showman. You would have had him, with ice skates. You would have had him in a channel pattern. I mean, listen, I know you're laughing, but when Batman came out, you had Batman in every different fucking style, dude. You had Batman in a gold suit that was called Tech Suit Batman. Mind you, that was the first redeco. All right, we called variants. That was the first redeco figure that came out ever.
Old Batman from Batman '89 had a gold Batman, and it was the weirdest toy, but I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it was one of those things where it was mainly frustrating because it's like, to me, if you're not going to make anyone else outside of Goku and Vegeta strong, just make everyone, kind of cameo, when the episode permits.
It was just a Goku Vegeta show, and that's how it still is.
And the thing that frustrated me about that was, and not to get into a huge tangent because I know like Jaydee isn't into it, so I don't want to get too much into it. But okay. Dragon Ball started with focusing on the human, right? Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and we got some of that going into Dragon Ball Z. And I understand once they start introducing the Saiyans and alien beings that they couldn't really focus on the humans as much, but you didn't have to just completely push them to the side, and you also didn't need to make them the weakest mother effers ever. What they did to Yamcha.
Yeah.
Poor Yamcha. What they did to Yamcha.
First of all, one thing, Jaydee, I will say the one thing I could never take seriously about Dragon Ball Z was people would die religiously and they would just bring them back. So it started.
It was a joke. It was a joke. Every season they died.
Take away from caring about, like Krillin. They developed Krillin to where you're like, man, I really love him. He's not that strong. He's the heart of it. And then he would die, and then it would make you feel like when Frieza killed Krillin, you're like, oh, that hurt. Yeah. But then when Krillin started to die over and over and over, it was just like, all right, okay, whatever,
And then when they started having I'm sorry, Pete.
I was just, did anybody make the joke? Oh my God, they killed Krillin.
Let me tell you this: as funny as "Oh my God, they killed Kenny" was, it takes it's no comparison to how hilarious that would have been if they gave that to Krillin. Because Krillin would just die so often. But huge shout out to Krillin. He got the ultimate reward though. Krillin got the ultimate reward
with Android 18.
Android 18 and hair.
Even before that, he was getting bitches. So he was always okay.
Yeah, he always had the prettiest girls, and I don't understand how.
That's for sure. They would look at Goku and just go, "Nah, that short one. I like that."
Because Goku did not give a shit about girls. It was just weird.
He didn't. And that's
the fact that he was with Chi-Chi was the weirdest thing. It's like, do they even like each other?
Wait, Tia, last question, and I'm going to move on to you, Joel, before we get out of this topic. Was it weird to you, Tia, how similar Gohan in his youth looked exactly like Yamcha?
That was the joke. That was the joke about. But you know what? Yamcha deserved it, considering Bulma, was screwing around with Vegeta while he was dead and everything.
I'm just saying, I tell people this all the time. If you follow Gohan and Yamcha in every big
scene, their hair looks similar. Their
always look the same.
Similar.
And
it was funny that Goten looked like Goku. So why wouldn't Gohan look like Goku?
I always say to myself, Chi-Chi probably spent a lot of time with Yamcha while Goku was gone.
Because Goku was always gone. He was never around. Either he was dead or he was like, all right, bye, wife of mine. I'm going off to, the freaking space for, I don't know, the foreseeable future. It's like, shouldn't we talk about this? We're married. We should talk about our life and what.
Goku, no. Goku didn't even pay any bills. Goku was just like, you take care of it.
No, he was kind of a freeloader.
He was like, I'll save the universe. You handle legit everything, Chi-Chi.
It's a little unfair because Chi-Chi was kind of if you watch Dragon Ball, Chi-Chi was kind of a badass fighter herself, and it's like as soon as they got married, they were like, "Oh yeah, no, we totally forgot that like Chi-Chi's the daughter of a really awesome martial artist."
No, it became Goku was just like, I don't know if I like how strong you are. Stay home and do stuff here.
Right? Goku was kind of an asshole.
Joel, to pass it back around to you, what were some of the favorite anime figures that you either saw growing up or that you might have had?
Unfortunately, I didn't have any anime figures that I can think of, and I loved anime. Like even since I was a kid. Like I remember, I think my first anime might have been like leftover from my brother's. What's it called? Not Voltron, because Voltron I loved too, but Gigantor. I had like black and white Gigantor. We're talking fat belly Gigantor.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was my first anime, probably. And Speed Racer, obviously the original Speed Racers.
Oh, Speed Racer.
I loved Speed Racer growing up. So every time there was some type of new Speed Racer, I'd get into, even though they were never as good as the originals. And then it went from there. So like I remember. I was a kid. I had a show. It was called Macron 1. I've never heard of it again. I had a VHS of it, and I never saw it again. And I never saw it on TV. I just had a tape.
Macron
1, yeah.
What was it?
I think it was an 80s show, for sure.
Yeah, explain it a little bit, maybe.
It's hard to explain. I know there was a spaceship involved, and they had smaller ships, and that's all I really remember of it. I remember the theme song.
You sure it wasn't Macross?
I don't think so. It's called. I remember, unless they changed the name. I think it was called Macron 1.
Because Robotech was known as Macross, also. That's why.
I would have to look into it.
And it was a big ship.
Yeah, it's a big ass fucking ship.
Joel, was it called? Yeah. Was it called? It wasn't called Ghost Shogun, was it?
The one I don't. It was literally called Macron 1.
Because if you search, if you search Macron 1, the first thing that comes up is Ghost Shogun.
Right. Okay, maybe that's what it was, but it was in English.
Hold on.
I'll look it up. Does
now. Does this seem familiar? They're saying that's the intro.
Gotta get to the chorus.
Hold on.
Juwaan,
I know that it was that theme song was just like crazy. I don't remember. I don't remember a robot. That's the thing. I gotta look at it again. It's been a long time since I've seen Macron 1. I just know that it was a really catchy tune.
Yeah, I sent it to you. Check it out when you get a chance.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's like, but in the U.S. and parts of Europe, it is primarily known as Macron 1.
Okay,
that's the title of the North American adaptation. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, I remember Macron 1. I had that shit, and I had a ninja show too. It was adult because I didn't know it was adult at the time. My mom bought it for me. She had no idea, but man, it was bloody as fuck. But it was It was a ninja show, and I don't remember. I have no idea what the name of it is, but it was a ninja anime. It was crazy cool too, and I just don't remember. I can't remember the name of it. I can't find it anywhere. But
Ninja Scroll. Ninja Scroll was pretty popular.
I thought it was Ninja Scroll, but I don't even remember the intro, like because it wasn't a catchy intro like Macron 1. I just remember watching it once in a while when I was like back and forth between the two of them, and those were my two my favorite anime tapes that I had at the time. Okay. And then, of course, from there, I guess the anime kind of changed for me because then it came to like the Dragon Ball era of things. I loved Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I obviously saw Dragon Ball Z first, then I saw Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball is awesome. The original Dragon Ball series is really great.
It is good. Really perverted, though.
It is, but
the show is nowhere near as perverted as the manga is.
The manga is so perverted.
It was as close to porn as they could legally get. Like that shit was filthy. I had to wash my hands every time I finished reading it. Like, oh my god.
Wonder why?
No, not like that. Not like that.
Sounds like why.
No, just because the book.
You're always supposed to wash your hands, Juwaan.
Yeah, really.
Grandma told you you'll go blind, man.
All right, so I'm gonna have to go into editing after this.
Outtakes, bro.
Make sure that clip never sees the light of day. No, but so let me ask you, Joel, when did you get into reading it?
I didn't read a lot of manga. I didn't read manga until I got older, and even then, I don't read it like I read comic books. Because I think there was a show, Suncoast Video. Suncoast Videos.
Yes.
You remember Suncoast? All right, so Suncoast. They used to have manga on the show. My cousin worked there, and he would bring home manga to read. That's the first time I heard of Naruto. So I'm like, oh, this looks cool. And the first time I heard of Bleach, I read Bleach before I watched Bleach. That's the first time I ever did anything like that. So I got to watch Bleach, and I'm like, oh shit, I read that. I know what's gonna happen. Somewhat know what's gonna happen. So that was my first experience with manga, and I don't really read a lot of manga, so it's more. I just wait till they become anime, and I don't really pay attention.
When I was I'm sorry, John. I was gonna say when I was like younger, like a teenager, I would just go to I would take the bus and just go to Barnes and Nobles and just go into like the manga section and just like walk around and see what was ever there, pull it out and like read it. So it's funny because I didn't grow up reading, say, like American comic books, but I grew up reading mangas.
Japanese.
So
yeah,
Thanks.
I mean,
it's different, backwards.
it's so
very different.
Black
you
and
have
white.
to get so used to that. You're like, wait, hang on.
Yeah,
What's
it's so
going on
weird
here?
to adjust. But I will say Shonen Jump is what I grew up reading. And the reason why I preferred that was it would have 80 different shows, but in book form. So it would be like, how we consume Saturday morning cartoons is that, but in book form. So like you would have to read each issue to see what the next thing is. But I tell you what, we talked about this earlier. We're not going to get into it, but as toxic as we think certain fans are, I tell you right now, there is nothing more toxic than a person who reads the manga before they watch the anime and tries to tell you how inaccurate it is, how American or how the book is miles ahead of the actual show. Like, oh my God, you're just on Goku dying. Oh my God, he died. Dude,
I feel like that's how the Walking Dead comic book fans were. It's like, oh, you're at this. It's like, you know what Andrea actually was in the comics and everything. It's like, I don't care if she was a badass in the comics. She was awful in the freaking show.
Yeah, I stopped reading the comic because of that. I wanted to finish the show before I ever went back to the comic book because it was so different. I was like, this show doesn't even they don't even resemble the same thing anymore. So I stopped reading it.
Joel, that's my logic. If I'm introduced to something for the first time, I don't want to read the comic first because it then sets unrealistic expectations. Because the show's never going to be an exact copy of it. It just can't be. So
I get it.
I'd rather watch the show.
Like reading and watching WandaVision and thinking that certain things are going to happen because
yeah, Pete. You know what, Pete? You're not gonna do that to me because you were right beside me.
I was.
That whole damn time you were right beside me.
I was riding shotgun, bro. I was right.
100%. 100%.
What do you guys think Juwaan's thing for Falcon Winter Soldier is going to be for the next 6 weeks that we'll have to hear about?
I'm just gonna stay off the line. I'm just gonna. I want to enjoy the show.
It's gonna be Mephisto again. I'm gonna be like, wait a minute, you didn't have him here.
If I can get back to anime for a sec, Pete, do you remember when Sci-Fi Channel first came out? They were doing anime on Saturday nights.
Really?
No,
they were.
Yeah.
Wait, really quickly, Jaydee. You know what's hilarious? I don't remember a world where there was never a sci-fi. I feel like it's been around so long. I don't even remember what the world was like when there wasn't a sci-fi channel.
Yeah, Sci-Fi and Cartoon Network, they came out like around the same time. Yeah. You know what? That's the year you were born because I graduated in 93 and that's the year they were coming out because I remember.
Look at that. So then I was right. I've never been on this world and there's not been a sci-fi channel.
Yeah. I remember my girlfriend and I watching, my high school girlfriend and I, we were watching Looney Tunes on Cartoon Network, and it was just like, oh my God, where were these when they came, and that was really cool, man. So yeah, no, Sci-Fi Channel would do, they would do anime on Saturday nights, and then on Sunday mornings, they had like a block of cartoons like Saturday, but it was sci-fi oriented. So they would have the Filmation Flash Gordon cartoons. Okay. They had the Star Trek cartoons. And they had a few more cartoons come out. But that was competing against UPN. I don't know if you guys remember the UPN network.
Yep.
So UPN had their own lineup, and they had Exo Squad. They had the Mighty Max cartoon. They had Techno Man. You know,
Yes,
so
fucking
they had a
man.
pretty solid Sunday lineup.
Cartoons on in the morning. I remember.
Yeah.
Our equivalent of that, JD, would be
Mm.
I grew up on Toonami.
WB11.
I grew up on
yeah.
Toonami. So Toonami was the midnight.
Okay.
Well, not midnight, but
The midday.
yeah.
It was late.
It was later.
It was
Gundam
later.
was on, like Gundam Wing was on late at
Yes,
night.
it was.
That's how I
Oh,
got
yeah?
introduced to
Okay.
all of my anime,
Yeah.
was through
Oh.
Toonami.
I didn't
Toonami was the
notice
shit.
that the reason they had
So
to
good.
bridge that gap heading into midnight was because all their anime were very adult themed. So it was
Gotcha.
their way of kind of letting parents know, like, hey, heads get cut off in this shit.
Well, not
Okay.
even that. They
Okay.
showed nudity. I was watching. I remember when I was younger. I don't know if you guys remember the anime. It was called Outlaw Star. It was
Oh,
on
yeah.
Toonami. Yeah, I love Outlaw Star. And there was one where like these two girls get out of this like tub and they did not have tops on, and they showed that, and I was like, okay, then I hope my mom doesn't walk in at this point.
Yeah. You know, the one that freaked me out, oh my God, I hope mom doesn't walk in at this point. Some Legend of the Overfiend.
Oh God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa,
That's not a mom fucking anime.
Dude, I didn't
Pete's
know,
face
right?
at that point.
So I'm getting into anime. It's in the local video store, not the Blockbuster, right? The mom and pop, and it's in the anime section. So like, okay, you know, you bring one back, you pick up the new one, you experiment. And when I saw the big monster, when I saw the guy having sex with the girl and then turning into the monster while he was still inside, I'm like,
Holy
what
shit.
the fuck is this?
Are you sure you were watching anime and you weren't watching hentai?
I don't know.
Overfiend really toes the line. Honestly, I would just call it hentai.
Yeah.
Overfiend is insane. There's a lot of
So that
tentacles
kind of
around.
turned me off of experimenting on that
New
stuff,
anime.
you know? Yeah.
He's like, I don't know when some crazy shit's gonna happen. Or
Yeah.
it was just so weird. But to me, it was like there was for me the 90s, especially the very late 90s, early 2000s, their cartoons were pushing the envelope like 1,000%. Like
Have you guys ever watched Ren and Stimpy?
I was
That
just
shit
about to say,
pushed it
of
all the time.
course.
I caught Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're now trying to cancel poor Pepe Le Pew now because he was super rapey back
But
then.
Tia, there was a precursor to the Ren and Stimpy. So that
Okay.
art style for Ren and Stimpy was executed prior to that on a reboot of Mighty Mouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can find some Mighty Mouse episodes.
I had a VHS collection set of like Mighty Mouse and all that.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So it wasn't that classic style, but there was a
Mhm.
Mighty Mouse that came out Ren and Stimpy style prior to Ren and Stimpy with the close-ups on like the butt cheeks, and you see all the boils and the
Yeah,
hairs
they
on
were
and stuff
they're
like that.
really detailed with
Yeah,
shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
The sausage
Yeah.
fingers, you know.
But
they would zoom in on it.
yeah, cartoons for some strange reason were getting like pretty aggressive. Like
Mature.
Pepe Le Pew was aggressive. The
Well, that's why it's
Animaniacs
like-
were pretty aggressive.
And listen, I can go through like
Animaniacs, hell yeah,
all-
loved
all-
Animaniacs.
all of them,
Animaniacs were great.
Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain. It's like you watch cartoons. I hate. It's weird because I'm like this young generation now, but it's like seriously, you watch cartoons now and they're so childish, and it's like
They
no,
are.
they're for children.
Right.
But it's like, but if you go back and watch the cartoons, at least for even my age, they weren't that childish at all, and I
No.
don't understand this. Like, I
I
don't
grew
know.
up
It's just
with
really weird.
X-Men, the animated series, talking about racism. Yeah, Batman.
Yeah.
the animated
Of
series.
course, of
These are adult cartoons, but they're not adult. But they took things seriously. You know what I mean?
And by the
Or-
way, and
No,
Juwaan,
go ahead,
going
Tia.
back to your thing about like Pepe Le Pew, this like French guy did this whole thing on Twitter saying like no one was ever supposed to take him seriously.
Yes,
The point
it's
was to
satire.
make fun of him. He's a
Satire,
skunk. He
yeah.
stinks. Like,
Yeah.
The argument, no, well, what they're
'Cause he's
complaining
handsy.
about- what they're that's what I was gonna say. He was very aggressive towards the women in that cartoon.
of,
I mean,
But
while
I-
we're on this subject, I said this when this first happened. First of all, I guarantee you, it was just a New York Times editor was telling his journalist, "Go find me something that's going to piss people off and
Yes.
write an article
Yes.
about it." Go.
Yep.
And two, Dave Chappelle called this guy a rapist 20 years ago, and we all laughed our asses off because we knew it was true. Yeah. And B, I don't think anybody who was in their right mind, any dude or any woman for that matter, was looking at Pepe like, that's how you get a woman. That's
exactly right.
I think we laugh, like as a kid, it's like, oh, we laugh like how ridiculous. Again, as you said, I don't think anyone was like no one was looking at him as the blueprint of like what a person should be.
I want to take this a step further. No, I want to within this topic, I'm waiting for the moment where they take one of the many episodes where Elmer Fudd was chasing down Bugs Bunny when he was in drag, right? And called that bashing, right? Anti-LGBTQ. I guarantee you, if they're going after Pepe for that, that's a close second.
Well, I saw that they're going after Speedy Gonzalez, which I saw something people and I saw a lot of things on, like, again, I'm not Hispanic, I can't talk for the Hispanic community, but I saw a lot of things on Twitter where people who are Hispanic, who are, say, Mexican, were saying that they love him. Yeah, like he's an icon, and they're like, "Why?"
He did this shit 20 years ago, where I believe it was on Cartoon Network or something, and it was like, "Oh, we can't have Speedy Gonzalez on because it's racist," and all of the Mexicans was like, "Where the fuck is Speedy at, yo? Like that was our hero, that's our guy." And they put it back.
Juwaan, I'm sorry, this is going to seem like I'm attacking you, but it's not you, but it's your generation. My generation, right? Giving out
you youngin'
participation trophies to our kids because we want you to feel included. And we turned that generation into a bunch of soft, spoiled fucking brats that do not have a fucking backbone that need to be heard.
I said this on my last podcast, I think Saturdays. I'm not for that. I am very much of, if you allow kids to believe second and third and fourth is okay, they won't ever feel the need to get better because they're content with just being, I'm fourth. So to me, I think it's very apropos, very nicely, not to be like, you're a fucking loser, but tell them you lost. You know,
I got a bunch of fourth place trophies.
No, getting fourth place trophies because there might be three people that just happen to be better than you is not a problem. Or if your heart wasn't really in it, I get it. But like if your daughter or son is really trying to get far in a sport, you're kind of just like, dude, you lost by 50 today. It's okay. You know, shake it off. You know, no, get them in that lab and get to work. Like, we don't work hard to be the 94th best podcast. Hell no. You know, so it's like
94th. That's a good number though.
Like 500,000. But
94 solid.
By the way, I want to say that
number 10 is even solider.
being only a few years older than Juwaan, I'm happy that I don't get roped into his generation. Jaydee's like, your generation.
BS, Tia, which is complete BS, because you're in my generation, Tia. And I love how wait, let me just say this. Tia will let me get dragged for my age every day. Meanwhile, no one knows how close to my age Tia is, and meanwhile, Tia's just like,
because I came out with the pitchfork, and she's lining it up. She's
exactly.
Like, oh, no,
and I'm like,
you don't have enough gas on that.
You know what it is? It's like, because all right, I will defend Juwaan, but I think
thank you.
Juwaan, me, I don't know if I meet Joelle or anything, but like I grew up very much with my grandparents. So it's like you grow up listening and seeing what they watched and all that. So you have an appreciation for what came beforehand. You recognize that that's not how things are today. Obviously, you wouldn't make that sort of content today. You also don't sit there and go, well, we need to completely erase and redact everything. It's like, no, let that stuff exist in the past and let's just move forward. But it seems like people don't want to necessarily move forward.
They don't.
They're very much like an out of sight, out of mind generation. Like, oh, let's forget about it.
Until they say this cartoon hurt my feelings.
Right.
Right.
Never seen a cartoon that felt that way.
You
peel back the layers. Oh, I'm sorry. Good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I apologize.
No. I'll just give you one example, and then we can like move on and everything. You know, I forget what the movie is. My mom pointed it out. Even there's a movie with Marilyn Monroe where like I guess her neighbor was supposed to be a
Some
very
Like It Hot.
stereotypical.
Some
Was
Like It
that
Hot,
where
Mickey
it's like
Rooney, and he was an Asian. Yes.
Yeah, and it's like, yes, you look at that and you're like, that's really wrong. That's
Yes.
very, very, very
Of course.
offensive, and that should never happen today.
So
But
once they start
then
peeling
you don't
back the
care
layers-
about it.
right. Because they haven't seen it. Once they start peeling back the layers of everything, right? Jerry Lewis stuff, Saturday Night Fever, and you could keep going and going, right? I mean, how many cartoons? Forget the Frank Sinatra, all the the Rat Pack, all of that stuff. All these cartoons, they were funny to an extent because they were satire. Mad Magazine, right? Mad TV, Saturday Night Live. We get away with it because we know it's satire. It goes over the top. And that's what cartoons, if they're not a marketing media element to sell toys and lunchboxes and bed sheets, right? They're going to be much more toned down on that. Guys, there's this whole world of cartoons that a lot of people don't know about. Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs. Forget about Song of the South, right? I saw Song of the South when I was a kid, when I was 11 years old. But you want to see stuff. Song of the South was disgusting. It's not Song of the South. Excuse me. Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs was disgusting. And that's out there. Superman was anti-Japanese, and those Max Fleischer cartoons, he was very bigoted. You don't see them going after that. It's, if you're gonna do one, you got to do them all.
People pick and choose. I think people pick and choose, and it's
They do.
Again, we can go all day with stuff like this. It's just,
so leave
I
Pepe
see things.
alone. Right.
I see things like Pepe, and I'm just like,
right.
man, they haven't even made him like that in years. Was he like that in Space, the original Space Jam? Was he like that in the recent cartoons? No, he wasn't like that recently. He was like that.
Plus, he smelled
bad.
He smelled bad. That was the joke. He smelled like shit. He was a skunk.
I mean, look, dragging it back into anime, they want to judge something. Judge that weirdo from Sailor Moon. That I've been.
No, I will give you another one. Okay, going back to Dragon Ball. Right, going back to Dragon Ball. There's a episode where Master Roshi, who's an old guy, right? They never specify really how old he is, but old. And in Dragon Ball, very old. And in Dragon Ball, Bulma is about 16 years old, and he's constantly looking up her dress. He's constantly getting nosebleeds. There's a scene where she's laying down and her panties are showing, and the kid Goku is literally resting his head and like patting around. And it's like, I remember watching, I was like, what am I watching right now?
Woke her up and said, "Where are your balls at?" Basically.
Oh yeah, he was like, "You don't have the same thing I have."
That shit can be chalked up to fucking Japan.
I mean, look, they've been consistent. I mean, even in the more recent Dragon Ball Z, I think it was in Super, Goku was trying to teleport home and accidentally teleported to Bulma's house, and she was like in a towel, fresh out the shower, and he was just like, "Yuck." And then teleported home, and then Bulma was just like, "What the fuck was that?"
How about that Street Fighter cartoon with Vega and Chun-Li, with a whole fight scene, and she was fresh out the shower with wet panties.
Was just a towel.
Yeah.
That was a good thing.
Anime. Look, anime. It likes to ride that line pretty heavy. They're just like, hey, we're weird, and we're not shying away from it. We're gonna double down on this weird.
There's a lot of things that when you watch it, you're like, this feels like maybe it's wrong.
Yeah, it's just like you ever get that feeling to where you're just looking at it and just like, I don't know if you should have done that.
Like what? Like there's a very big tell in anime when they're being perverted. They start bleeding through their nose.
Oh
like,
yeah, always they get a nosebleed.
Oh, really?
Like,
which is the weirdest thing. That always used to freak me out. I used to go, man, if I think someone's attractive, is that what's gonna happen?
It used to make you think that was like a real thing. Like, wow, guys must get nosebleeds like all the time.
There was another anime that whenever the kid like seen a hot girl or whenever he got turned on, he would throw up. I don't remember what it was.
Wasn't that South Park? Didn't one of the South Park kids always puke whenever he like?
I don't know, because I know in Naruto, like Joel said, his nose would just bleed all the time.
Yeah.
Well, Master Roshi's nose was always like.
Yeah, that shit would shoot out.
But our last topic is going to be, what anime do we wish they converted into live action? Now, if it is something they already converted into live action but was not done to your liking, you can still bring it up. Because I think probably 98% of anime movies that were turned live action.
What are you talking about? Dragon Ball Evolution is the greatest anime adaptation.
Doesn't exist.
So bad.
Don't do that. The more you talk about it, the more sci-fi will try to put it on their channel. It does not exist. It does not exist.
You know, when it's done good, they don't promote it. What was it? Jinro, Legend of the Wolf Brigade, was an awesome live action translation from the anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, here's the unfortunate thing about that, especially today. Today, there are maybe 20 popular anime. And if you fall in that 21, 22, 23, and so forth, no one cares about you because you're not considered mainstream.
Gotcha.
So it's like, if you're not the One Pieces, you're not the Bleaches, you're not the Dragon Ball Zs,
the Naruto.
You're not the, yeah, exactly. Like I personally loved Inuyasha and Yu Yu Hakusho. You won't find it today that talks about it because to them,
I don't know what that is.
I don't like. I like them, man. Yu Yu Hakusho is the shit.
Yu Yu Hakusho is so fucking dope.
I fucking love Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah,
and that shit was good. You want to talk about live action? If you watch the live action Rurouni Kenshin, that shit is dope.
I didn't know they did a live action.
Look up the trailer. Look up the trailer. Oh, it's so good.
Well, I'll add that to my list. But Yu Yu Hakusho, I definitely want them to adapt. But my point is, there is a set of mainstream that if you don't fall within it, you just fall by the wayside. And unfortunately, there's a lot of great anime that just like, I like Parasite. I thought Parasite was done pretty well. I thought it was weird as shit. Like, you guys are looking at me like, what's that? Exactly, that's my point.
Wait, not the Bong Joon-ho movie that just came out like 2 years ago. No. I was gonna say that was based on an anime.
No, not at all. But that's my point. So there's just so many pretty cool ones that just fall to the wayside. Joel knows I've been probably the only American that's been bigging Big O. Like, I want Big O to come back.
It was around the time of Cowboy Bebop. I know what Big O is.
Yep.
It was on Toonami.
Yeah, it was on Toonami.
No, I'm just speaking to the fact that no one ever
talks about
it. No one ever talks about the
Which is really weird because I felt like the Big O was really big when it was on Toonami. Like, I was on forums and shit like that, and people fucking loved it. They couldn't shut up about the show. So to hear now people not really talk about it is so strange.
And it legit, what I think I loved the most about it was legit Bruce Wayne, but in like a Megazord or in like a Gundam or however you want to classify it.
What was?
Go ahead.
There was an anime. There was a live action based on an anime. There was a movie on Netflix with Michael Douglas where they played a card game on a boat, and the kid turned into like a clown, but not like a Joker killer clown, more like a Damon Wayans, homie don't play that kind of clown.
Oh my God, what is this?
No.
Michael Douglas?
Yeah. It was one of those that you could tell was shot in China, but the scenes that Michael Douglas was on was straight in English, and then it had the dub subtitles underneath it. I'm sorry. I guess it's one of those that fall under that 20 category.
Exactly. But I want us to go around before we get out of here. I want us to go around and talk about our favorite animes we would like to see turn live action. I'm gonna stay consistent. Mine's the Big O. I want the Big O to become live action. I actually would have liked to have seen Matt Reeves direct it, and who I would have liked to have starred in it, but he's just doing too much now. Would have been Oscar Isaac, because there is a level of darkness that comes with that character. That's why I compare it so much to Bruce Wayne. It's so much darkness that comes with him, that I would have liked to have really seen to be conveyed. And that hairstyle, I don't think Minnie could pull off that hairstyle that he had. It's the most unrealistic hairstyle ever. But the Big O has always been dear to my heart. I can't wait till someone makes it available for me to buy so I can watch it again. Which, speaking of, Jaydee, huge shouts out to you the Clone Wars that the only Clone Wars that you accept will be on Disney Plus. The beginning.
Darren Aronofsky, the Gennady Tartakovsky. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Be on Disney Plus. April.
Nice.
6th.
Very cool.
You know what? I always tell people that love that Star Wars, they have to give all the credit in the world to Samurai Jack. If not for Samurai Jack,
oh my god, I love Samurai Jack.
It wouldn't have, think about this. The reason Samurai Jack worked was you didn't need a lot of dialogue. But to do a Star Wars cartoon where there was barely any dialogue, no one would have expected that to work. But Samurai Jack laid the roadmap for that.
Well,
you know what?
Dexter's Laboratory laid the roadwork for that. Because Kennedy went from there to Samurai Jack and then to Star Wars.
You know what's funny, Jaydee? I love that you say that because I told Joel, since they're doing like a Powerpuff Girls live action, I'm like, I would like Dexter. Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing a live
Which
action.
is really weird. It's really weird. And this comes from someone who I grew up liking the Powerpuff Girls. I used to watch it as a kid. I think the idea of it being live action takes away, like, some things just work as cartoons and
the cutesiness
don't work.
Of it,
the cutesy, and also, sorry to get off track, but I saw the actresses that they have for the Powerpuff Girls, like, they're adults practically. I don't know. I feel like Powerpuff Girls
are gonna overly sexualize this fucking movie, and it's gonna be really.
Yeah, they're gonna be wearing some short skirts in it and shit like that.
I don't think so. I think what they're going to do is modernize it, and they're also going to, their powers aren't going to translate how they did in the cartoons. It'll be a more physical-esque look of their power set, but they're not going to sexualize them. I don't think we have.
Are they going to do the Battle Angel Alita with the big eyes?
I tell you what. I haven't been able to see Black Canary in her comic accurate, very beautiful looking comic accurate get up.
Scantily clad.
So if they didn't sexualize Black Canary, they're not going to sexualize the Powerpuff Girls.
I hope you're right. I
just think it's weird because they're supposed to be kids. That's the point. They're like in kindergarten practically.
Let Joel go. Go ahead, Joel.
I'm sorry, Joel.
About it, and no one knows what they're doing. Like, and they've already explained what they're gonna do. So let me explain what they're trying to do. It's definitely them older. They're gonna be in their early 20s. They're adults. They're supposed to be adults in this. It's gonna be on the CW, not a movie. It's a show. And it's basically them. They were the Powerpuff Girls. They've been not the Powerpuff Girls for a long time. Will be the Powerpuff Girls again, but it's just about them becoming heroes again. They haven't been heroes for a long time.
Right.
Gotcha.
So, Tia, it goes to what we were saying on the last Geek Vibes Live, where I was telling you everything is everything modern has to be, and I don't mean darker like the look, just a darker feel than what we're used to their origin being. So this will probably have that kind of feel to where it's more not adult, but it's supposed to be for a growner audience. But I tell you what, one thing, and me and Joel were going over this, but one thing that I'm not looking forward to is seeing these women beat the dog shit out of Mojo Jojo again. I mean, they used to like it came to a point where I was just like, at some point, someone has to sit him down and go, they are just beating the dog shit out of you, Mojo. Like, you should probably stop.
Oh, they're definitely gonna call Peter this time if he looks good.
I mean, they used to beat sure. But Joel made a really good point, and then we're gonna get back into anime because I'm gonna start off with Samurai Jack. This is the perfect time for them to do a show of the Powerpuff Girls, mainly because they're one of their villains. Was it him or her, or was it both?
Him, her, yeah.
Him.
It was supposed to be the idea of and now you can take it and say that there's no gender. It's just gender.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it be genderless or whatever the fuck.
If you go back and rewatch the Powerpuff Girls, it always seemed genderless because it seemed like a woman that just had a really deep voice. So it was always just like, I don't know what you are.
I mean, they've done that for so many things. I mean, oh
God of the Planets.
That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking of the Venture Brothers. Is that what it is? The Venture Brothers, where
that was a great show.
It was a great show, but remember the girlfriend or wife of the main villain had like
Oh,
the manliest voice.
yes. The Monarch's Dr. Girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Tina Belcher from Bob's Burgers is voiced by a dude.
Well, in Bob's Burgers, they're like all voiced by men except for Louise.
Right, exactly. So, but to bring it back to anime, I actually would like to see Samurai Jack.
That would be such a nice story
in live action, and I would like them, instead of making the main villain for the first one Aku, I would like them to build to that. So I would like us to get the flashback of how things became what it is, but I want to see his journey to making it to Aku. Like if you watch that show religiously from beginning to end, he's faced a lot of really dope villains that you could have in that first movie, second movie, and then the third one is finally getting to Aku and then setting things right.
And you can make it very visually appealing.
Exactly.
Yes, stylized. There was a movie. Who was the guy that was with Ben Affleck in Pearl Harbor? What's his name?
I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Me too. I said the same thing in my head.
Oh man, you know who I'm talking about though, right?
Maybe
Pearl Harbor. You mean Armageddon?
No. Pearl Harbor. He was the other pilot that smashed the girl from Underworld when they thought Ben Affleck was dead.
Okay, I don't remember though.
Josh Hartnett. Okay.
That's what
Josh Hartnett did a stylized kung fu western flick, and the settings, the backdrops that they used in that flick, I forgot what it was, I feel would translate very well into the Samurai Jack that you're talking about.
Because the aesthetic that I want, Jaydee, is somewhat similar to what they're doing with the Mandalorian. Samurai Jack has always had a Western futuristic feel to it.
Okay.
I want that. I want when it's not in that futuristic state where it looks like 2049 Blade Runner. I want that Western feel that the Mandalorian gives us, because it's very much like that. And I like the idea of having a draw to where instead of it's guns, it's legit swords. Like I've always thought it was very poetic, where the two people would draw the sword and then race towards each other, and then it would show both, and then one person would drop. Like I love the aesthetic of that. So I'm like, Samurai Jack. I don't know who I'd like to see do it, or who I'd like to see as Samurai Jack. But
that's why I like that Robert Rodriguez Predators.
Yeah,
I like people give that movie.
Enjoyed it too.
You had that draw scene with him and the Predator, with the claws and the sword. I thought that was great.
I was 100% on that.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that fully.
Yeah, I'd like to see that then in Samurai Jack. Really good call on that one.
Yeah, so that's my pick. I'm going Samurai Jack. I'll actually, because me and Joel love doing fan casting, so I actually work on that and present it the next episode. What I come up with, but
I don't know if I'd consider it an anime though, but it's a cartoon.
The only reason it's 100% an anime is because they do consider that Star Wars an anime.
I don't consider an anime either. I know what you mean. But
I think anime is supposed to be a show that premiered in Japan first. I always thought that was supposed to be the prerequisite to what an anime is.
That's how I look at it. But I know now a lot of times now, they like right now Castlevania is considered an anime, even though it's American made more or less. But it's because it's drawn like an anime.
Right.
And that's the
style of it.
If that's the case, you got to look at Bionic 6, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, Mighty Orbots, and Galaxy Rangers. Those 4 cartoons, they were American cartoons, but they were produced in Japan. I forgot what studio, but it was a famous studio that worked on that stuff, and it had that anime, not a full anime feel with the big eyes and stuff like that, but it had a lot of aesthetics that carried over, mixed in with the Western markets.
To me, honestly, there is a true definition for anime, but to me, I find anime to be subjective. So Samurai Jack, to me, because it came out with all these other big animes, it very much felt like it was an anime. I get it if someone's like, it's not. No problem.
Yeah, if there's no Japanese version of it, I can't commit. It's just I don't know if that's anime.
Well, they consider the Pacific Rim show that me and you like on Netflix.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a whole bunch of
I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
It's really good. I enjoyed it.
Pretty good.
I really enjoyed it.
That's very much anime style, but it's drawn in anime style. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. That's what they're doing now.
Right.
I mean,
But so was Avatar and Voltron.
And they consider
those
those anime.
great American animes, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So you know what? Let's do that then. Let's separate it. There's true
Jap animation
and it's American anime. But yeah, so Samurai Jack is my pick. I think it would be done so beautifully well. I'll even pair Samurai Jack with my original pick of the Big O, but I want to see those two brought to life. Especially because of how well Samurai Jack did when it just came back. To close off everything. Now's the time. Tia, I'll go to you next. What anime would you like to see turned into live action, whether it's a movie or a series?
So I don't know if anyone's heard. It was on Toonami as well. It was called Cyborg 009.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my favorite anime, even though I have like this whole freaking collection of Dragon Ball Z. Talk about Juwaan, by the way, not having it out on DVD. It's so weird because, all right, really quick backstory. Cyborg 009 is considered to be, like, if not the first, one of the first mangas that came out in the 1960s. And the version that I like of the anime is the early 2000s because it was adapted a few times. You cannot find that on DVD. They dubbed it for Toonami because I watched all of the freaking episodes. But go online and try and find the English dubbed version. It's not around. They have the first like 4 episodes on DVD dubbed, and besides that, you cannot find it on DVD. If you do, you find it in Japanese, which is fine. Like some people are purists. They only like watching anime if it's in Japanese and they can read subtitles. I have nothing wrong with subtitles. I watch everything with subtitles, but I grew up with the English dub for these shows, so it's like that's what I'm used to.
Well, I'll tell you, Tia, if you're looking for these, as Pete said before, they don't really exist. There's not a lot of them anymore.
No, I don't think so.
Suncoast Video had all of these. Like, there was a whole section dedicated to nothing but anime in those old Suncoast videos. I know there was one in Long Branch last time I was out here in New Jersey, but to me, they just don't really exist that much now, mainly because not many people still collect DVDs. So stores that
even back then when it was coming out, like I used to search and it wasn't there, and like every few years I'm like, for shits and giggles, let me see. Cannot find it. But I'd like Cyborg 009 to be adapted just because I really like the story of it. I love the characters. They all have their different sort of powers. We're in an age where technology is really good when it comes to things like that, so they could make it look good. It doesn't have to look campy or anything. Every character has their own specific sort of personality. It's just, in my opinion, a very good anime that I would love to see adapted. I kind of don't want to see things like Dragon Ball Z adapted just because I don't know how you get the hair correct or anything like that. How can someone...
Do you disavow any knowledge of the live action movie?
It does not exist.
Dragon Ball Evolution. I saw it.
It was a great flick. Like, it's a great flick. I love it.
It's a great flick to get high on.
I tell you what. You know what? There's a lot in that movie I very against my will could okay. But when you use the Kamehameha to revive someone, you've lost.
That's just not.
You lost me from the very beginning of that movie. The
Hawaiian King.
Hawaiian King.
The Hawaiian King.
Yes, King Kamehameha.
There you go.
But
he showed up.
I'll say this. I'll say this just really quickly. To me, that can't be what stops you. You gotta find a way to get there. You gotta.
Just because that was shit doesn't mean you should stop.
No.
Here's my biggest issue. There's only one hairstyle that's hard to do, and it's Goku's. Everybody else's is either bald or very doable. So it's like, if you can nail Goku,
that's what I said.
Listen,
that's what I said.
The 80s figured that shit out. There's no hair gel that cannot pull that off. I'm telling you.
I'm 100% with them doing the hair CGI. I swear to God. It's doable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, draw that and computerize it.
Yeah.
it needs to look good, and like every person on it needs to be like the jack of jackedest people ever, because that's the thing about Dragon Ball Z is like a lot of animes you see everyone is like is very, you know, like small, skinny. Dragon Ball Z, it's like they have muscle on top of their muscles on top of their muscles. It's like they have to be like the biggest freaking dudes and girls you've ever seen ever. I mean, it
level that has that where they're just monstrous Super Saiyans.
I will say though,
Brawly just keeps going. It's like you want.
I will say though, to that point, Tia, I don't know, because I always thought, I'd say maybe when I was like between 10 and 15, that like whenever they did Wonder Woman, she needed to look as jacked as she did. And honestly, it's just not visually attractive to see that in live action. It's honestly, to me, if like you remember that scene in BVS where it's Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman all next to each other.
You say that all the time, and I disagree with you every time.
I'm sorry, but if you had her,
I want to see some chick buff. Like, say what you will about Gina Carano, right? I'm not here to get into that, but her body type is not a body type that you see represented on screen, and there are women who exist out there like that, and I would like to see it more, as opposed to, you know.
Gina's hot as fuck. Let's just throw that right out there.
Who?
What'd you say, Pete?
Gina's hot as fuck. That girl could kick me in the head any day.
Let me add on to Tia here, because I'm agreeing with you, Tia. Pete, you know this. American Gladiators, Zap, all right, was a full, solid, beautiful woman, broad shoulders, well defined, and she, if anybody knows American Gladiators, she was the true star of that series. All right, strong. I mean, she was the Arnold Schwarzenegger of female bodybuilders. You know, because she was still beautiful.
Gina was on American Gladiators, the reboot. She was
but that was a shitty reboot, dude. That really was.
I'm not saying it was I'm saying I watched it because Gina was on, and I was like,
okay.
Let me just
this, Jaydee. But no, and who's the Chinese doctor that she's always doing the Chun-Li images, that she's got the thighs that can cross watermelons.
The thunder thighs, yeah.
I mean,
she's a good-looking woman.
You make a
good-looking woman.
You make a great point. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't translate well. I'm just saying I don't need it from Wonder Woman, especially with how big Zack made his Batman and Superman. Yeah. That aesthetic just looks weird. That all three of them are like this, and it's like, all right, no, come on.
Yeah. but and I'm saying, like, as the woman here in the group, I don't need Gal Gadot to be dainty in comparison to Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. I'm just saying,
of the two. Yeah,
I'm just saying, massive buff women deserve their moment in Hollywood. But before you go any further on, another anime really quick that I'd like to see is any of the Gundams. Because you've already done like Pacific Rim, you've done Transformers and everything. Yep. Why not have another, big mech sort of project out there?
Hell yeah!
I tell you what, Gundam should not be made until after Voltron is successfully done right. You can do Voltron. I know without a shadow of a doubt, you can nail Gundam. But if you do Voltron, we got to take a few steps back.
So Voltron's its own thing.
And my pick is the one that needs to predate all of those. But yes,
I'll go to you then, Jaydee. What's your pick?
Dude, the easiest one that could be pulled off, I feel, is Robotech. It's Top Gun with robots. We got a second Top Gun movie coming out, right? You got the transforming mechanisms already done. That algorithm already done with the Transformers, right? And the main part of the thing is the pilots, right? And you just highlight the F-16s turning into fucking robots, dude.
Yeah,
that's it. Who doesn't want to see that? Shooting guns and explosions and flying through the air. Half of the fucking Captain Marvel movie was her piloting a goddamn plane.
Yeah. I'm not against that at all. And Joel, to your point, they're extremely different. I'm just saying, if you're able to pull one off, it's very believable the other one could be done very easily. And I mean, to be honest, it made me nervous how poorly that Power Rangers movie was able to translate that Megazord. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like,
They did a better job on the original Power Rangers.
Exactly. Exactly. I looked at that and I was just like, oh no, I don't think the world's ready for Voltron.
Yeah. The problem with the new Power Rangers was it wasn't the cast or the actors, it was the Power Rangers part where they fucked up.
Yeah.
But that's the part that you should get the most right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the part you should get right, where they fucked up.
That movie was casted beautifully, and they still found a way to mess that up. They still found a way to mess that up. But Jaydee, that's a very good pick, man. I mean, to me, it's one of those things where it's like, if you could do something like that is not extremely difficult to pull off.
Yes.
Just attack that first and then work your way down.
Yes.
I'm with you on that.
Go ahead, Tim. I was gonna say, hopefully Cowboy Bebop is good, so we can see that, you know, it's possible to make a good anime live action adaptation, because that's such a beloved anime. If they get that wrong, people are gonna be pissed.
And that's much easier to pull off than like a Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I'm always of the mindset of it takes one. Like the fact that wait, what was Detective? No, yeah, Detective Pikachu. Made me feel like, okay, they can do Sonic. Obviously, until they released that image, and then we were just like, "You're gonna fuck up Sonic?"
Well, because that was the thing, is that we were like, when they first released Sonic, we were like, whoa, you just showed us Detective Pikachu. You showed us that you could do a good job.
Yeah.
And then you give us that.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
But to me, it only takes one. So if Cowboy Bebop is good, we're on and moving. We're cooking with grease here. But Pete, I'm gonna go to you. What would you like to see brought into live action?
All right, I kind of just made a quick list because I couldn't decide.
That's great. Give it
Pete
to us.
did homework, baby. I love it.
I want to give a quick shout out to the live action Fist of the North Star.
Gary Daniels,
was pretty good, man.
You know, Gary Daniels was one of the best martial artists I ever seen on screen. His shit was great.
That was fine.
Fun one.
I ain't even getting into Guyver. Yo, forget that nonsense.
I love Guyver.
I love the cartoon, not the movie.
No, I love the first live
Listen, I kind of like the movie a little bit.
Me
dude.
too. It was cheesy as fuck.
It's campy.
Yeah,
it was campy. Yeah.
I got nothing. I would like to see Slayers. Slayers was a fun anime that I really enjoyed.
I didn't know that.
Like a little upstart female sorceress and her dopey swordsman, like Mad Mardigan kind of companion.
Okay.
And just like magic and monsters and stuff. That was a lot of fun. Street Fighter 2 was what got me into anime in the first place. I'd love to do a movie of this movie.
Yep.
Like, give me the actual Street Fighter. This shit was dope.
Yes, it was.
And I'm moving from there to video games and stuff, and I'll save that for a second. I would love to see Vampire Hunter D in live action. That is one of my favorite animes.
They never did that live action?
No, surprisingly. And I mean that I was kind of hoping when Twilight hit and the vampire craze was going on that I was like, just maybe I'm going to see this, but it never came to fruition.
They gave us Van Helsing.
I tell you what, Pete, good thing they didn't develop it during that time. There weren't many good vampire movies during that time.
No, because they saw Twilight and they were like, oh, let's make them all like this. And it's like, no, that's not how we want vampires.
No. Why would you want My Little Pony vampires? It doesn't make sense.
But Vampire Hunter D proved that you can have like that, sexy male type of vampire and still be a complete badass as well.
Right.
Yeah,
like
that was
killing Ola. And he could kill everybody from that Twilight movie. Yes.
Twinkle Bright.
You don't like your vampires, sparkling?
Shiny and sparkly? No.
I prefer not, But my favorite anime, bar none, and I know it's a little cheesy, but also one of the hardest video games you could ever hope to play, was Fatal Fury. And I would absolutely love to see a live action Fatal Fury. Not King of Fighters. I want Fatal Fury. I want Andy and Terry Bogard. I want Geese Howard. I want Wolfgang Krauser. What's that, Joel?
Oh, you want their long ass hair too? Because Terry got long.
Hell yes.
I still got the
long hair in
VHS
the 90s.
copy of that cartoon, dude.
My
That
My
anime.
hair was down to like here, bro.
I can see that. I can just see that. You just look like the kind of person who would have the 80s long hair. That's a compliment, by the way.
Thank you. At the time, every cool martial artist had long hair, from Jean-Claude Van Damme to Lorenzo Lamas. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna grow my hair.
He said renegade.
Renegade, bro.
God.
But like, I want to see some like special moves. I want to see a power geyser going on.
Yeah.
I want to see a raging storm. Like,
Very cool.
good fighting game movie, and especially like Mortal Kombat's coming out now, and that shit looks dope. So like, maybe we're going in that right direction.
We'll see.
Joel, what would you like to see brought into live action?
Well, I mean, lucky for me, a lot of my favorite ones are being produced into live action. I don't know how good they're going to be, but I know they're working on a Gundam like movie. I know they're working on a One Piece live action. They're working on a Naruto live action. They're working on a My Hero live action. So they're working on a lot of animes that I really like, and would love to see done. I just don't know how they would adapt it, because especially like One Piece, so you have to adapt it, but it'd be very difficult because there's some really oddly shaped people in that fucking show.
I'll tell you what, Netflix sits down and they tell Netflix the amount of money they need to visually pull that off.
Yeah,
it's gonna go. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like
it's different.
Yeah,
it's just, you're gonna have to tone it down a little bit just for reality's sake. But like the one we obviously got a Dragon Ball movie, but that was trash. So I would love an actual Dragon Ball Z movie, but like in sagas, just like how the Tia had her, she put them up. Like every movie should be a different saga. That's exactly how it should be. You could do it's doable. It's just that you need people that are passionate about it to work on it, and that's all it comes down to. Like it's doable. You have to cut some shit out because obviously it's an anime. There's a lot of fillers, and you're gonna have to cut some shit to trim the fat. At the end of the day,
it's doable. I'm just saying, it's doable. It's ninjas. It's a ninja
like
training
ninjas.
a little girl.
I like ninjas. I'm all into ninjas, but I think Dragon Ball Z can be done, and I'd love to do it myself.
And Joelle is right. A lot needs to be cut out because we all know that Dragon Ball Z loves their fillers, but you'd have to. It would be cool to start from the beginning, like start off a movie literally how the saga starts off. Raditz coming down to Earth and just disrupting 100%. Everything.
Absolutely.
But to me, you have to take key moments and then boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
2 hour and
there's hot spots. There's hot starts you need.
We get a small little montage of Piccolo training Gohan.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Everyone always talks about the pop that everyone gave when Nick Fury showed up at the end of Iron Man. I'm telling you, if that Dragon Ball Z movie is done right, you see the people that freak out when those two pods drop and out comes Nappa and Vegeta. Pop in there is gonna be bananas.
I'm telling you, I'm a huge fan. Like as you saw with my collection and everything, I freaking love that whole series. If they did some shit like that, I would be 100% for it. Just do it right, and you could have the visuals. You can make space look cool now. You can make fighting look cool now. You can make shit look cool. Just don't give us what you gave us with Evolution. No,
don't do that. But you want to know something funny? Do everybody remember the third Matrix movie?
Yeah.
The fights at the end in the sky when they're like agent, whatever his name is, and Neo going after like flying into each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you know what ruined that for me? Dragon Ball Z. Because every time they ran into each other, it just like stopped. And Dragon Ball Z, they fight. And there's like they don't do shit in Matrix. I'm like, this movie is boring and the worst. Because they just fly. It was cool to see them fly into each other, but nothing happened. It just went boom, and they were holding each other. I'm like, this is Do they not watch anime? Like, you could do something with like. Why would
Dragon Ball Z? A throat would have been punched by that point. Like,
I don't even have to actually see what's going on. I just want to see movement.
By the way, the best thing about Dragon Ball Z is, you think that Zack Snyder likes to destroy shit on Earth. They ain't never seen anything compared to Dragon Ball Z.
That's probably where Zack got it from. Zack probably sat down one day and was just like,
they blow up the moon to solve a problem at one point.
But
I'm surprised there's any Earth left in that show.
I will say visually, I am very excited to see Ape Vegeta, Ape Goku, Ape Gohan.
Who's
just transform.
Yep. And then I got to see my boy Yajirobe come in and save the day.
I don't know who any of them are.
Yeah, I want to see Yajirobe.
I tell you what, the only proper representation of how normal people look is unfortunately Yajirobe. No one else looks like any of those other characters. Yajirobe's holding it down for me. I'm like, yes, that's what I look like. I love you, Yajirobe.
Every other character had like literally 0% body fat, but yet they ate constantly.
Yeah, annoying.
I love Margot Robbie. I love Margot Robbie. She's amazing.
She was she was awesome in Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, she was cutting tails off monkeys.
Jaydee, can I say how you feel right now listening to us talk about Dragon Ball Z? Sometimes how I feel listening to you guys talk about action figures, where I'm like, that's nice. That's cool looking.
Well, go ahead.
Shout out a second because this is like a flashback for me back to my junior year of high school, where like I said, I had no idea what anime was or anything, and I was just discovering it. And the reason that I never watched Dragon Ball was because I sat next to this kid, and his name is Gabriel Ferrer. And Gabriel, if you're fucking watching this, it's all your damn fault. All this kid did was talk about Dragon Ball Z. And I'm like, I never seen an episode, man. Can we talk about the weather or anything? And this people like, Goku did this and Gohan. And I'm like, I don't fucking care, bro. Like, shit.
Well, I never had that effect on anyone because I didn't have friends back in the day, so I just wrote about things instead. So my notebooks were like, stop writing shit in me right now. I only discovered people like Dragon Ball Z till I was in college, and I like met a friend of mine, and we just casually, she's like, I love Dragon Ball Z. I was like, I have all the DVDs, and she's like, do you want to bring them over here and we can watch them? Like, yes. That sounds good. We'll do that.
It's that good feeling of being like 15 years ago where it just weirdly out of nowhere became acceptable to be a geek.
Yeah.
And all of society turned into geeks. It was just like, where were all of you when I was trying to tell you this was some cool shit? And you
know what?
Nerd. It's like, I tried
Fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. I took a lot of, Juwaan, I know your dad probably took heat for this stuff too. I took a lot of heat for that. I had to hide the fact that I watched Gargoyles in high school.
That's the only Gargoyles.
thing that I not gonna see. Right? I couldn't talk about it with anybody. I'd still buy comic books on the low. It was like Friday after school. Nobody knew what I was doing. I'd go pick up a few books. That was it. But Gargoyles, I would sneak to watch that, and that's it.
Respect, brother.
You know what did it for me? Like what justified my entire childhood was when Weird Al Yankovic had a #1 record on Billboard, and I'm like, I've been telling you this for years. He's brilliant.
It's just one of those things where it's just like
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say mine was definitely college when I walked outside and people were like playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards on a table, and I was like, you guys see what's going on here? And like no one's getting beat up or told that like they're a nerd and all that. It's acceptable? What?
Yeah. And that's why I'm just like, kids today that are just like, I feel bullied. It's like, you don't know what bullying is. It's not bullying for someone to write you something. Like, you could just log out and not have to see it. Real bullying, you have to see that person every day in school. No,
listen, I'm not trying
to stop you from getting your ass whipped.
I'm like not trying to like get too personal on like a podcast right now, but they don't know what bullying is. They never got the shit kicked out of them. They never got freaking spitballs in their hair. They never got shoved into freaking like garbage cans and everything. That all fucking happened to me. So
I had my lunchbox.
Kids out there.
I had my Marvel lunchbox thrown in the garbage by somebody because they're just like,
Wow.
Fuck those people.
why would you throw my lunchbox away? Like,
My food was in there.
but
Imagine the
guys,
tears that cancel culture would have if they
Oh my
tried,
God.
like, they actually dealt with that shit. Like,
No.
I can't do that. Well, I did.
but that's all we got for you guys on this episode of Figure It Out. Make sure you guys stay tuned for an all-new episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. We will be breaking down the first episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I got a sneak peek at the first episode. It's pretty good.
Mephisto's in it?
Mephisto makes an appearance at the end. So it's all worth it. All worth it, everybody.
Nice.
That is a joke that probably will never die because no one will let me live it down.
Nice.
But make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I want to thank Tia for joining us on this anime episode. This
Thanks
was
for
a
having me.
lot of fun. And Pete, next week is Transformers Tuesday. Right. We are getting into it, but here's the caveat. It's only about Beast Wars. Suck it, guys. Anyway.
Bring all my toys out.
You guys aren't going to talk about the greatest ones of all the Michael Bay films?
They don't exist. The first one is it.
I'd rather talk Beast Wars than Dragon Ball Z because I don't know where the fuck that. At least I got a point of relation with Beast Wars, you know.
But at least I was able to pull Jaydee in with Samurai Jack, so there was
Samurai Jack works
something
baby.
there. So make sure you guys stay tuned for Transformers Tuesday next week, and we will see you guys same time, same place. Till then, peace.
Peace.